Oh, thank you all for tuning in to another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D-Land, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about in my regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, with you guys on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iRadio, SoundCloud, Pandora, the whole 9 yards. They're top 40 quarterbacks in the NFL. Quarterbacks 13 and quarterbacks 14 for today. Let's start with quarterback number 14, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings. Kirk is basically a more talented version of Matt Ryan. He can do everything very well, run your offense 100% to perfection within the structure of the offense. Decent arm, nothing special. If your receiver is open down the field 9 out of 10 times, Kirk Cousins is going to hit him. He's going to hit him on the spot, in stride, with anticipation for yards after the catch. His anticipation and his touch. He's a very smooth passer with the football. His footballs are very catchable, very quarterback friendly passer of the football, right? He does a good job of looking off defenders well, going through his reads, going through his progressions, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, attacking his one-on-one matchups down the field, which helps when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson. Good on play action, really understands what an offense is trying to do. He's basically a head coach's dream, right? You know he's never going to make a mistake. He's going to hit the open guy. He's going to attack one-on-one matchups. He reads the whole field, plays with anticipation, knows when to get the ball out quickly. A master in the short passing game, extremely accurate in the short passing game, right? He's also really good at it, and this is something that I think Kirk Cousins doesn't get enough credit for, is he's willing to stand in the pocket and take hits. Kirk Cousins, he's willing to stand in the gun, have a defensive lineman cave in his chest, have a linebacker cave in his chest, and make the throw. That's something he's willing to do. He does not do that at the high level of a guy like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. Dak Prescott does that pretty well. But he doesn't do that elite level, but he does it at just a good enough level. I also think he's a better athlete than guys give him credit for. He has decent feet when it comes to moving within the pocket. Also, you can have him out on the perimeter in terms of running bootlegs, kind of those design things where you push the pocket. Now, here comes the negatives of Kirk Cousins and why Kirk Cousins isn't in the top 10. He's just not a playmaker. Can't scramble. You can't use him in the QB design run game, and his arm isn't great, and he can't consistently make powerful throws down the field. And I know it's cool to be surgical and to run the offense perfectly, but eventually you need a guy when, excuse my language, shit hits the fan who can really make plays, and he can't do that. So that's why he's on 14. I also think when he was pressured, he could make bad decisions with the football and unravel at times a little bit. That was one thing that I would consider about Kirk, you could say is a little bit of a weakness in his game. But besides that, it's just that he's not a physical specimen. You can't use him as a scrambler, QB run game, and not a elite thrower of the football in terms of being able to throw from different arm angles, throw when he's off his spot, throw when bodies are around him, all these awkward angles. He can't do that. Kirk Cousins needs a perfect situation to be really good. But if you give him a perfect situation, Kirk Cousins will be really good, and he can play QB with the best of them. Now we get to quarterback number 13, Kyler Murray. I have no worries about let me put it to you this way. My biggest worry about Kyler Murray is not the fact that he does not seem to have any interest in watching film. It's how he handles the physicality of the game. And I'll get to that later. But let's just start with all the great things about Kyler. And as we start at 13, these are the 13 guys on this list now that are kind of my pantheon, my guys that are kind of separated. I know Kyler's 13, Kirk Cousins is 14. I think Kyler Murray, you could argue, is a 13 QB in the NFL. So you want to say he's a top 10 QB? Excuse me, a top 10 QB, even though I have him 13. Be my guest. You can have Kyler Murray in your top 10. I can't argue with the talent. He's an electric at the position, right? Great feet in terms of moving within the pocket. Once he breaks contained, he can scramble, he can throw. He is very good at moving outside the pocket. He can run and scramble that way as well. He can make guys miss in the open field. Kyler is a hard guy to tackle in the open field. Also, he does a very good job of sliding so he doesn't take unnecessary hits. He has speed, acceleration, has a nice spin move. But really one thing he can't do is he's not a big man, so he can't take a lot of punishment, which is why I think Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen are better running QBs than him. And he can't run through contact at the second level. Besides that, he can do everything as a runner. The thing is, for a 5'10", 270-pound man, his arm is extremely explosively powerful. Tight spiral, has all this different sidearm ability. Probably one of the 7 or 6 best arm talents in the NFL. The amount of power he can generate as he throws off his back foot, as he's fading away from pressure, is astonishing. It's impressive, and it's special. He has a quick release. He has great rhythm with his passing, very much of a rhythm passer. He's accurate in throwing his deep ball. I think the Cardinals could do a better job of running their offense with him a little bit more. I know they use spread. They spread everybody out and they let his athleticism take over. But I don't think that's always the best thing for Kyler. And his accuracy is great. He's really good at hitting his wide receivers in the hands, and he hits his wide receivers in the hands a lot of the time. So Kyler is a fantastic talent, and that's why he's at my 13, but I have no issue if you have him in your top 10. Now, here's the reason why Kyler is at 13 for me. And here's the big issue. And this is, you'll start to see this as a theme as I start to separate guys on this list. Kyler wears down as the season goes on. He's a 5'10", 270-pound man. It makes sense. You can see his play deteriorates. That's happened the last few years under him and Cliff Kingsbury. Also, he misses games. So he gets dinged up. His play gets worse as the season goes on, including the postseason, and he gets dinged up. Those are all major negatives for me. Then we get into his actual play on terms of the negatives of this game. If you guys watched the Los Angeles Rams game, he was startled. When he gets hit, he really unravels, and he unravels quickly. I also think he can be very good at misdiagnosing pressure, not be aware of pressure at times. I think he gets rattled when he gets hit. I also think that because of his size, he can miss guys who are open sometimes because he can't see over these big offensive linemen. And I think he can't step into the pocket and manipulate the pocket at its fullest extent because there's these big defensive linemen who are collapsing the pocket and he can't throw over them. So I think he misses a lot of throws that way as well. And I think sometimes when he's pressured, he can just get into this schizophrenic haywire mode where he's just like, I'll just throw the ball up and do whatever. And it's like, Kyler, that's an awful decision. And then he starts making errant throws as well. So those are my big issues, how he is affected under pressure. He starts making awful decisions. His passing becomes errant. His beautiful passing, it becomes kind of a non-factor. He also physically wears down as the season goes on. And in the terms of the QB design run game, you can't run him as much as you would like to because of his size. So these are all major issues that you have to work with Kyler. Also, because of his size, he misses throws. And he does not see everything. He does not see the whole field at a high level. That's something I value. So those are really the issues with Kyler and why he is not in my top 10. But like I said, if you have Kyler in your top 10, I have no issue. My name's Daryl Lane. Have a great day, and God bless.